You tried to kill me, but you failed, and you're dead. Now fuck off!
You are a fucking nobody. I fucking win.
Betrayal, sadness, ego, and competitiveness. All of these things are the prime factors in HBO's hit series Succession. How far would you go to achieve your goal, where nothing else is as important as winning? Succession shows just how far anyone would go to win, how much one would be willing to ruin their relationships with friends and family members. It's a show where no one can be trusted, everyone has an ulterior motive, and everyone is working against you or for their own gain. When you look at the marketing for Succession, it doesn't look as exciting as I made it out to be. The posters are a bunch of people in business suits looking very seriously at the camera, and the synopsis for the show is equally unenticing. The Roy family is known for controlling the biggest media and entertainment company in the whole entire world. However, their world changes when their father steps down from the company. Reading this is something that makes me want to go to bed and never wake up again. But when you look at the reception for this show, it is absolutely unbelievable. Everyone is saying that this show is the best show of the decade, that it's a 10 out of 10 masterclass in writing, that it's modern day Shakespeare, and after watching this show I can confirm that 90% of the things I just said are true. And today I'm going to try and convince you why this show is perfect, and why you should watch it immediately. Let's start by telling you what this show is about, since the promotional material does quite a poor job of doing so. Succession is focused on the Roy family. Their father, Logan Roy, owns one of the largest media corporations in the world, and after Logan starts showing signs of him being unfit to run the company, Kendall, Logan's second eldest son, tries overthrowing Logan. The show is full of twists and turns, and lots of betrayal. It's basically Game of Thrones, except it's set in the present, and the throne represents the occupation of CEO, for the company of Waystar Royco. The show is at its core about family and generational trauma, and that's the show's main focus. Yes, it focuses on the story as well, but at its core, Succession is about its characters. All of the characters feel real, to the point where it doesn't even feel like you're watching a TV show. It feels like you're seeing real-world events happening right in front of your eyes. The acting in this show is brilliant, and over the course of the series they managed to top themselves over and over again, to the point where I'd say that this show has the best performances I've ever seen in a piece of media, most notably in Season 4, where the performances are just unreal in the final season. While I didn't mention Succession was a show about trauma, that doesn't mean that the show doesn't have its moments in terms of comedy. In fact, I would say that part of the charm of Succession is its almost surreal sense of humor. 1 second it can go from this...
No, it was clear, yeah. You tortured the old dinosaur. You barbecued him live, huh?
Don't fuck with me! Hey! No! Don't fucking touch him!
It's okay.
Dad,
It
no!
played well, okay? The word is it played well. It's okay.
Bro, you okay? Here.
And then immediately to this.
Thank you, Greg.
Yes! 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 Yeah! Fuck yeah! What? Oh!
Succession might be one for drama, but it isn't afraid of breaking up an extremely tense scene with some comedy. The one thing I love about Succession's comedy is that it never comes across as forced. It feels like shit talk one person would say to another, or a retort someone would reply with. A lot of comedy today feels so factory-made, which is what makes Succession's comedy a breath of fresh air. It doesn't feel like a company is trying its hardest to be funny. It instead feels like the characters are trying to be funny at points. Even during intense and serious scenes, sometimes the comedy from the writers can help make a scene even more intense, or help ease the tension a bit during a scene, which is what makes the comedy in Succession so great. It's natural, it feels off the cuff, and it doesn't overlap any of the serious moments in the show. It knows exactly when it needs to be funny, and when it needs to shut its fucking mouth and let the story and characters do the talking. Speaking of the characters in Succession have to be some of the most well-developed characters I've ever seen in a show, so I'm going to try and describe them as best as I can without spoiling too much. Starting off with Kendall Roy. Kendall Roy is an insecure man-child. In an attempt to make up for that insecurity, Kendall often has instances of false bravado, in order to make him seem like he is a lot more cool and laid back than he actually is. It's these moments of his fake persona where he manages to fumble a lot of deals because of it. It's only when Kendall doesn't try to show off and act cool he's actually a very good negotiator. When things don't go in Kendall's favor, he spirals by using self-destructive methods to try and cope. Whether that be by abusing drugs, alcohol, or sex, Kendall eventually spirals back into old patterns one way or another. Despite all the things going against Kendall, he manages to be an extremely sympathetic character, despite being shown to be a complete narcissist. But despite everything, at the end of the day, he is still the character you want to become the next successor. Next up we have Logan Roy. Roman at first seems to be one of the sillier characters, yet his immaturity seems to be more of a facade to hide his vulnerabilities. Roman makes immature, crude jokes in order to hide his trauma, and how he really feels. Roman likes to think he can do anything, and that he isn't afraid of his father. However, when that gets put to the test, Roman is too scared to say anything negative towards his father. Throughout the show, it has been shown that Roman grew up in a household feeling unloved.
He used to lock me in a cage.
What the fuck?
No, that's a true story. Oh wait, you're pretending that you don't remember the dog pound.
Are you tripping?
Yeah, it was a game. I had to go climb in this big dog cage in the kitchen and wait for someone to come collect me. Yeah, it might be 3 minutes, might be the whole afternoon. 4 years old, I was eating dog food out of a cold tin bowl.
And has been chasing that validation, namely from his father, ever since. Surprisingly, his flippant attitude can actually help him in business situations. Because of his odd charm, he can often bag clients for his father, and often hooks clients with his great social skills. Because of Roman's multiple mental issues, it has stopped him from having something even close to a functional relationship. Roman might make the most sexual jokes, but at the end of the day, he is the one least interested in sex, and is only aroused when he is insulted because of the unloving nature of his household growing up. Next up on the list of siblings is Shiv. Shiv is the sibling who is most like her father Logan. She may seem innocent and sweet, but she's probably the most brutal out of all of her siblings. You might be thinking that Shiv would be the best choice to become their successor, but there's one major flaw with her, that being her indecisiveness. The thing is with Shiv is that she cannot fully commit to one team. She constantly flip-flops. She's worried if one side gets fucked, then she'll have nowhere to run, which is why she will betray people she's working for in order for her to be able to feel safe and secure. The same applies to her dating life as well. Shiv is dating Tom. She'd rather settle for someone who is more easy to control. She wants someone who is weak, and someone who she can take in and manipulate. If she dated someone with more power over her, then she would constantly feel inadequate, and would feel like she could be betrayed at any moment. However, she is also like Logan, where the only way she will feel love for someone is whoever who has the balls to compete with her, therefore making it an extremely toxic relationship, because the only way she could possibly feel love for you is if you try and backstab her or beat her at her own game. Overall, Shiv is a good choice, but she is too indecisive to fully commit to anything. Next up we have the final sibling, Connor. Connor is the only sibling who isn't actually blood related to the other siblings, and instead is related to an entirely different mother. While Connor's backstory isn't mentioned a lot throughout the show, we do know that in order to gain custody of Connor, Logan placed Connor's mother in a mental institution. Not only that, but Connor is the only sibling who doesn't care for the throne of becoming CEO. He's not interested in it, and prefers to do other things with his life. However, not much more is known about Connor. His siblings dislike him, and he is often made fun of for not being related to them. He is pretty much the black sheep of the family. Not to say that he isn't as shitty as the rest of them, but throughout the show I would say he's probably the happiest out of all of them. Connor does contain some narcissistic tendencies though, and that usually comes in for whatever he's trying to compete for. He thinks he deserves whatever he's working towards, and that it should be handed to him on a silver platter. And whenever that isn't the case, he is in constant deniability about it, and thinks that he deserves it more than his competitor did. Next up is Tom. Tom is engaged to Shiv, and he is a very complicated guy. Shiv got with Tom because she thought she wouldn't go against her in any way, and that he was weak, which is true for the most part. However, the more the show progresses, the more Tom grows a backbone for himself, which is extremely satisfying because Tom is usually pushed around in every season, and holds his emotions in. Since he doesn't hold any power over anyone higher than him, he takes in the Roy family's cousin Greg to have the feeling of power over someone. Greg is quite an odd character. When he starts off, he is extremely nervous and shy, and doesn't really know how to interact with anyone. He's basically me, but if I was 100 times more autistic than I already am. Greg usually clings on to people with power, or tries to take advantage of them with what little power he has, whether that be keeping documents, learning secrets, or anything above. Greg is really nobody's man, and uses his shy personality to his advantage in order to weasel his way to the top. But even when he tries to do something as silly as blackmail, it still feels like he doesn't know what he's doing, and that usually gets people to underestimate him. Last but certainly not least is Logan Roy. Logan is a cruel old man, however not much about his backstory is really known. At the end of episode 7 of season 1, there's a shot that shows the scars on Logan's back. It shows how much worse his abuse was as a child, and Logan probably justifies his own abuse to his children as not being as bad since he was less extreme than his father. Other than that, not much is known about Logan. We do get tiny snippets of information here and there throughout the show, but not enough to fully paint a picture about his own trauma. We pretty much know as much as his children know about his trauma. Logan is tough and cruel, but he is an excellent businessman and manages to negotiate deals extremely well. Through pure instinct and luck, Logan managed to pull himself off by his bootstraps and made a living for himself. I don't really know how else to describe Logan other than the show portrays him as this unstoppable tyrant, but occasionally it shows you that he isn't as invincible as you think. He makes mistakes, he's still an old man. Even the most powerful people in the show are vulnerable in one way or another. The final thing I want to talk about in this show is the music. The music in this show is extremely classical, however it can sometimes be mixed with hip-hop as well. For example, in the intro, the music is very classical, representing the rich and luxurious life of the family, while the hip-hop aspect refers mainly to Kendall and his obsession with rap. You might also notice that a lot of the music in the show is off-key, which is not done on mistake. It is done purposely to signify how dysfunctional the family is in just music. Specific pieces of music might even play at different points in the show for certain characters to represent their mental states. For example, in Season 2, there's a track called Hearts, Roman's Beat. The song is only played a couple of times from what I recall, and the time it's played in Season 2, it's meant to signify Roman's mental state and how off he is in the moment. But not all of the music is played at somber moments of the show. Some of the music is used to show extreme power or confidence. Let's take a look at the scene from Season 4, and let's analyze how the music and cinematography is used in the scene. Don't worry, there won't be any spoilers in the scene, so you are free to watch. The music starts off as Kendall's, unique to him. The camera starts off keeping its distance, wary of him. He wears a simple suit and glasses, guising his thoughts and emotions through concealing his eyes. As he approaches, the camera moves slowly, attempting to catch up. He climbs the steps with ease and rises above the camera, making him bigger and more imposing. He barely addresses its presence, being figuratively and literally beneath him, as he looks up and walks past it. The camera continues to keep its distance further, now seeing that Kendall is more composed, serious, and ready to act. It's such a beautiful scene, and while I would analyze it further, the analysis would veer into more spoiler-heavy territory. However, beyond its entertainment value, Succession also serves as a poignant social commentary on the inherent flaws of consequences of unchecked wealth and power, by exposing the morally ambiguous actions and the manipulative tactics employed by the Roy family. The show prompts viewers to reflect on the broader issues of corporate greed, familial conflicts, and the cost of ambition. In conclusion, Succession is a show that offers an enthralling narrative, brilliant writing, remarkable performances, and thought-provoking social commentary. Through its exploration of power, wealth, and family dynamics, it leaves for a very memorable experience, so please don't miss out on this remarkable show. It is one of the best shows I've ever seen, and has given me the pleasure of a ride I will never forget. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. This way you will support my channel and help me produce better content in the future. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you all next time.